community. About 2 or 3 years ago, we had a conference with Dr. Elvita King, and our turnout was not very good. So when I saw Maafa 21, I thought this would be a good vehicle to establish contact. So what we've done is we found out that in Summit County and neighboring Portage County, there are about 154 African American churches, and we're distributing those films along with a fact sheet to the pastors of the churches. The first few we just sent in a mail, but we thought then that perhaps personal contact would be better. So we're about halfway with that distribution. Actually, we have about 154 churches, and I think we've distributed 80 so far. And we're also thinking there are two nearby universities, Kent State and the University of Akron, both of which have African American student organizations. And we're going to give a copy to those two groups also.
Well, the churches, you've got volunteers, as I understand it. You've already contacted about 80. Have your volunteers been attacked, or have they been welcomed, or what's been the response to the black pastors when you go to them with this information?
No, actually, it's been very cordial, and the people we send out are not African American, but they've been impressed by how cordial the visit has been. And once we get all the Maafa 21 DVDs distributed, then we intend to go back and ask them if there's any way we can help them, because I would suspect that certainly for those who show it, they might be interested in knowing what can we do next.
Right. Well, that's great. Well,
that is beautiful.
This is the sort of thing like what Dr. Adamick's talking about right here, and what Diane's talking about. This is what we're seeing all over the country. It's really, it just continues. I kept thinking that maybe we'd hit a peak somewhere a couple of months ago and we'd start seeing it taper off. It's just continuing to.
No, it's probably hitting critical mass now.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, Mark, I really appreciate Dr. Adamick calling, because he had Summit County Right to Life. Here's a pro-life organization that is using one of the game changers of the pro-life movement. This one is it. Mm-hmm. And it's good to see another pro-life group say, you know, look what Life Dynamics created. Let's use this tool.
Right.
And I think this is the way we're going to win.
Right. Exactly.
Whenever, in other words, somebody comes out with something great, let's put it to use. Let's reach the African American. I compliment Dr. Adamick on this one.
Absolutely.
This is wonderful.
Everybody. And we're seeing this across the board. That, like I said, around the country, we're seeing people say, you know, we've been trying, we've needed a tool to reach the black community. I've even had black pastors tell me this. Yes. Clenard Childress, who's in the DVD, told me, he said, we've looked for a tool to reach our fellow African Americans with. We've never had it. This is the one. But I tell you one thing we need to make sure we point out to people is that it is making as much impact on the whites who see it as on the blacks who see it. And in some cases more. So we can't just say this is just something for the black community. It's not. It's a tool to use to recruit the black community into the pro-life movement. And it's an easy recruitment because, as we've talked about before, all the polls show that African Americans are consistently, considerably more pro-life in their attitudes and in their culture than is the white community. But they've never participated in the pro-life movement to the extent they should. But we're starting to see that turn around.
Yes, and it was good to see what Diane is doing too. They're just not just showing in churches. Let's show it to the public.
Well, what Diane is saying is we got to be a little bit innovative.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we look around, we're not getting all the people we think we're going. I'm going to go out there in that library and I'm going to bring some people in here. I'm going to drag them in off the streets if I have to. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, we produce the product, obviously. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be the Dianes and the Dr. Adamicks of the world who are going to make this work.
Amen.
And I just want to tell you guys, thank you for joining us today, but mostly thank you for what you're doing to help us get this message out.
Well, thank you. I've been aware of Life Dynamics' work and Mark Crutch's work for a long time, going back to his book Line 5 and also the survey that he did of abortion providers way back when.
Right.
Which is probably one of the least reported surveys ever done in the major press.
Yeah, that was the thing that we did called Project Choice. But well, anyway, you and Diane, I want to thank you too for what you did, and just keep up the pressure. And anything that Life Dynamics can do, you guys be sure and let us know, okay?
And thank you, Mark, too, for producing Maafa 21.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for being with us today. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
A sociology professor.
Yeah, Kent State. Yeah, there's a long history at Kent State. But anyway, this is great news. This is encouraging for me, for all the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into this project to see it actually, produce.
baby.
Yeah, it is actually producing some results. It's very encouraging, and I've said before. Somebody called me the day and asked me about this, and I'd make the point. We've been involved in a lot of high-profile stuff. Obviously, we uncovered the trafficking, the baby parts deal, which was big at the time, and the pedophile protection racket, which is continuing, as is the baby parts trafficking, continues to go on. But I think if you added up everything that we've done since I started Life Dynamics in 1992, it doesn't even, all of it combined doesn't even compare with the response we're seeing to MAFA 21. Right. And I think that the sky's the limit. I think we're just scratching the surface with what this thing's going to do, because we didn't have any money to put into marketing of this thing. All the marketing's been viral, and not only that, but the media has completely ignored us. Completely ignored us. We've even applied to be in a lot of these film festivals, and I'll tell you something from a production value standpoint, I would put MAFA 21 up against any documentary I've ever seen. Kyle and Carol and I and the other people that worked on it made sure we tried to put out as good a piece as we possibly could. And I said before, we knew we put out a piece that was better than what we were capable of putting out. God's hand was in this from day one, and you could clearly see it. And yet, even in these black film festivals, we're being given these nice rejection letters of thank you for submitting but we won't be able to show.
And not these independent film festivals are things where you're talking about some social change or some injustice or something.
Right.
And of all the films that look like would be seen there, this is it.
And some of them are real amateurish, and they're done real sloppily. And we've got a piece right here that is as broadcast quality as anything that'll come out of Hollywood. I'd put up this documentary up against the production values of any documentary that's ever been made, and yet we can't get an airing at these film festivals. And even the black film festivals we're getting rejected at.
Oh my.
But these people have an agenda, and that's okay. And we never expected that anyway. Right. So we're going down the trail. But the way that it's working right now through the efforts of people like Diane and Dr. Adamick is how it's going to work anyway. We never counted on these film festivals and the secular media. We never counted on them to begin with. They're just ignoring it. But that's okay.
And I always remember you had so much success. Living in Black is still pushing MAFA.
Kidi Obiawadu is still, he just ordered another 50 or 100 the other day, just a couple of days ago. He's still pushing it. And he's one of the movers and shakers in what we're calling the Afrocentric community, this hardcore group out there that's kind of a subculture, and they're buying these things in droves. So it's really interesting. Anyway, that's all the time we have. Let's check in with Father Frank and Janet.
Thanks, Mark. Well, friends, it's great to be with you once again. And this month, we're going to talk to you about a very important top priority project that we're engaged in at Priests for Life, and you are the key to the success of this project. Many of you have heard about it before. We're talking about the video Biology of Prenatal Development, which Janet and I have right here, and portions of which we're going to show you during this segment. And Janet, the most fascinating thing about this is not simply that it's video of the unborn child.
Right.
Our viewers, if they're involved in the pro-life movement, like most of them are, and so much of the rest of the public, have seen video of the unborn child. Ultrasound, of course, has become more and more impressive and widespread. The thing about this particular video project, which we're going to discuss today, and which we want to get into every parish, every school, and every pregnancy center, is that it has footage of the unborn child, which is more dramatic, striking, and powerful than anything anybody has ever seen before.
Well, the interesting part, Father, is not, like you said, it's not just sonography, it's embryoscopy.
Yes.
And this is imagery that was taken of the unborn child inside the womb, basically.
Right, with a little video camera.
Like the size of a ballpoint pen, the
Exactly.
very tip of the ballpoint pen.
That's right.
And you're seeing that unborn child all the way at 4.5 weeks. Now imagine this. You know, considering the first trimester is when most abortions occur.
Right.
Most women are at least 6-7 weeks pregnant by the time they discover they're pregnant and get it confirmed, and they're seeking an abortion. Now, for the first time, they can use this video in a pregnancy center to show that girl when she comes in, that abortion-minded client, look at your baby right now. And it's striking, Father, to see that little heart beating, and you can see the hands forming at about 5.5 weeks. The kidneys are there. And this film actually, because it's called The Biology of Prenatal Development, the voiceover and all that is actually biologically taking you through step by step, week by week, from about 4.5 weeks on.
Well, the imagery, let's talk about the imagery first of all. This is actually a project that I've been involved in for a very long time.
That's right.
Some of our colleagues and I have been working on this. So we became aware back in the mid-90s of some footage that existed through this now very rarely used technique of embryoscopy. And the doctor who had the footage wasn't using it. And so we asked, could this be possibly used for an educational video? Make a long story short, after many years of negotiation, as you know, the agreement was reached that the footage could be used for a video about the unborn child, not about abortion. So the video project we have here does not say a word about abortion, but it says a lot of words about the unborn child and the child's development. And as we're showing on this segment, striking imagery of the child. So we have, in the end, this product, The Biology of Prenatal Development, this video is so good that even National Geographic put its stamp of approval on it and has been distributing it. It is overseen, its production, its narration, overseen by a team of medical experts, embryologists and medical professors, and people who are, every word of the narration, by the way, is backed up by medical journals and peer-reviewed studies. This is the best medical information that there is about every aspect of the development of the child that we know. The video has won at least 11 awards for the excellence not only of its research but of its presentation. And the good news is it's written for a general audience. It's written for people from 12 years of age and up. And yet it doesn't so oversimplify the material that it couldn't also be used even in medical school for first-year embryology students.
Well, and as you said, Father, the stamp of National Geographic, which, by the way, is right here on the cover of the video, the important factor here is, before we've had some great pro-life videos, Dr. Nathanson's, The Silent Scream, The Window to the Womb, those different videos. But the other side always says,